Hello everybody, Angie here from Direction. I'm just going to talk for about 8-9 minutes about anxiety. Anxiety as a counsellor and psychotherapist, trainer and mindful coach is something that I specialise in. So if you've not watched session 2 and 3 here, so session 1 is about just kind of generally what anxiety is, the difference between anxiety disorders and general anxiety, smaller anxieties, big anxieties. And also there's a few links on there about some resources that you can get on the internet and some things that you can do. Session 2 is really clarifying the difference between fear and anxiety, about whether anxiety is genetic, how it affects us, what we can do about it, but also kind of asks a couple of questions about that. Session 3, what we're going to do today is really look at how does anxiety affect us wholly. So as a humanistic existential therapist, I want to look at the here and now, this moment. So when you're watching the video, maybe just engage with yourself as well, and just kind of check in how you're feeling, what you're thinking, how's my physical sensations and how's my behaviours. So we're going to look at this just now because that's about looking at us holistically as a human being. It's about our existence on this planet as being human. And every single one of us, it doesn't matter whether it's my neighbour next door, it doesn't matter whether it's a woman that works in the school, it doesn't matter if it's the man in Tesco's, the traffic warden, because we're all human, we simply experience anxiety. Angst is a normal human condition. Okay, so there's 7 billion people in the world, and it's really important to kind of really recognise that we're not alone, and it's not only us that think that. Because often when people feel anxious, they often think they're the only ones. So I'm just going to run through this briefly. It's all very well having tools and techniques for anxiety, but what I've found over my 25 years is that we can have all the tools and techniques in the world, but if we don't actually have the self-awareness and emotional intelligence to really understand how anxiety is affecting me, so again, ask yourself, how does anxiety affect you? Whether it's the daily things like, oh gosh, can't find my phone, I've lost my keys, I've got loads of things to do, to the bigger anxieties, the financial stress, maybe loss and grief, change, relationship breakups. So these kind of bigger anxieties as well. So it's really on a spectrum. So we're going to look at this. How does anxiety affect us? I would totally encourage you to get an A4 sheet and draw 4 circles in it. Now the circles are actually supposed to be the same size, but they're just totally not. So in this case, so the first one, you want to put the circles on your A4 sheet of paper. Name one of them emotions, physical feelings, behaviours and thoughts. So let's come to the emotions first. We always experience 2 or 3 feelings at one time. So asking ourselves when we feel anxious, so even just now when you're watching this, ask yourself, when I feel anxious, what else is it that I feel? What's the other feeling? So we're not judging ourselves what else we're feeling, we're just simply noticing. So when I feel anxious, I've got irritable, angry, sad. Sometimes I've actually felt anxious and happy at the same time. That's totally normal. Sometimes we can feel depressed or low. Sometimes we feel fear. So we can feel other things as well with anxiety that they come along with. So just bullet point down and put your one words in that circle. So you're building your self-awareness. The second one is physical feelings. So that's kind of the body within itself. So sometimes I notice my shoulders, my neck gets a bit tight, it gets a bit tense. There's tension there, sometimes even in the bottom of my back. I get dry in the mouth. Sometimes I notice it affects my breathing in my chest. So again, when I'm talking about myself, there's some of this that you'll be able to relate to, but some of it you won't, and that's totally okay. So just thinking about that and filling out those other bullet points that actually might be individual to you, okay? And that doesn't mean that we're any different. It just means it's different from me to you. We go to behaviours. How do I behave when I'm anxious? Well, I kind of move quickly. I'm probably slightly anxious just now because I'm talking a wee bit more quicker than usual. I rush about, I get a bit snippy. Sometimes I withdraw. That's quite a common trait when we feel anxious, to kind of protect ourselves. Our attitude can change towards other people, and we can sometimes have quite a angry thinking mind that we can blame people and things like that. So just kind of put your own bullet points down there as well. The fourth one is the thoughts. So these are the cognitions in the head. The feelings are here, usually in the belly, usually in the chest. Then there's the physical sensations, and then it's how we behave. So the thoughts, usually when we're anxious, the more anxious we are, the more negative we're thinking, the more irrational our thinking, catastrophizing thinking. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's done that, so maybe ask yourself that too. Sometimes we have suicidal thoughts, depends on the extent of the anxiety. Sometimes we have angry thoughts, and we kind of lose our perspective as well when we're anxious, because it really affects our grounding thinking. So just bullet point down here, and you're looking to kind of really see how these interact with each other. When you do this, the invitation is not just to bullet point in each circle, but actually the invitation is to kind of look at it non-judgmentally, so almost observe it. One of the things we often do is, rather than just acknowledge the anxiety, we often try and run away from it, suppress it, ignore it, strive to make it different, judge it, and actually judge ourselves. What you're looking to do is actually turn towards the anxiety. So rather than always having your back towards it, actually turn round and even have a conversation in your head, even out loud. Imagine it's in an empty chair, or it's standing next to you, or it's in the car seat next to you. Okay, acknowledge the uncomfortableness. Acknowledge that you'll feel anxious even talking about anxiety, even turning round, because it takes a lot of courage. And turn around and say, what is it you want from me? We don't have to hug it and cuddle it and offer it into our house for a cup of tea and a scone, but it's just, we're just turning towards it. The minute we turn towards it, we're disempowering the anxiety. The anticipatory anxiety in our mind, because the way the mind works, is often much bigger. The bigger the anxiety, the more it grows arms and legs, the more irrational, negative, catastrophizing it is. And the actual anxiety, or what we're anxious about, is so much smaller. So there's such a big contrast there. It's contradictory, and it's important to kind of acknowledge that. One of the questions that you can ask yourself is that Socratic questioning, and ask yourself is, when you feel, or when you experience all this kind of thinking, is ask yourself, how much do I believe it out of 0 and 100%? So that's a good question to ask. The other thing is, there's an awful lot of scientific research around the whole world around mindfulness. It's not just something that's kind of woolly and what other people see as maybe tree huggy and hippie, but it actually makes changes in the brain. I'm not just saying this as a mindful coach. What the people that are doing the scientific research are neuroscientists, they're scientists, they're evolutionists, they're psychologists. So they don't come from that mindful approach. They have much more objectivity. And what they're looking in, especially this front part of this brain that we have, average of 3 pounds of weight for the adult, is they're looking at changes in the brain. They've done this in lots of scans, MRI scans, etc. And they actually see changes in the neurons in the prefrontal cortex, which is really responsible for our emotions. And what they notice is there's less activity when we even do a mindful meditation, even something like 10 minutes a day. It changes the neurons, it changes, rather than just reacting to things. We actually step back, and then make a different response. So we're really changing our brain. People often give up when they start mindfulness because, they think they're not much benefit of it. If you do it for 3-4 weeks, you will start noticing the benefit, and you won't react so much as such a heightened level. The more you do it, the more you'll get back. Think about it as an investment in the bank. You're putting £1 in the day, £1 a day away in the bank. It doesn't sound that much, but that's £7 a week, £14 a fortnight, £28 in a 4-week. By the time the end of the year finishes, that's quite a lot of money actually. So think about it as an investment for yourself, that you're really changing these thought patterns and the way the brain operates. Please feel free to share it, please comment, and we're on direction.org.uk. If you want any more information, we've got a Managing Anxiety workshop on the 26th of October in Edinburgh that's open, and we also deliver courses to organisations, and you can have a look at our website. But thank you very much for joining me, and hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.